So, mistakes were made, big ones. It's probably the biggest watch mistake I've ever made. Hi, I'm Mace and welcome to what I'm calling Confessions of a Watch Collector. You know that feeling when you're scrolling through auction listings at 2 a.m., judgment clouded by insomnia and a little watch knowledge bravado? Yeah, that's how I ended up with this. Now, I love me some funky watches, I really do. Give me something weird, something that makes people do a double take, something that breaks every rule of traditional horology. I'm that guy. I've got a Seiko AKA ALBA that looks like a cat got trapped inside a fishbowl, and I wear it with pride. But this is different. This is what happens when reality is sitting on my wrist, mocking me. The regret did not settle in over a couple days. It was immediate. Sometimes you buy a watch and think, this will be perfect for, and then you realize you can't actually finish that sentence. This is one of those times. So consider this your warning, fellow watch nerds.
All right, guys, here it is up close and personal. So as I mentioned, I immediately regret buying this. It is a monstrosity of a beast. But let's kind of go through it together. Maybe you'll learn something, maybe I'll learn something, and maybe we'll just have a good old laugh at my expense. Meet the Seiko B010-4000 frequency quartz. It's from 1998, and yes, it looks exactly like what you'd imagine a watch from 1998 would look like if it was designed by someone who thought the future was a cassette tape recorder, because that's what this looks like. I'm almost always intrigued by watches that break from traditional horology. I've been fascinated by these so-called driver's style orientation watches like the Girard-Perregaux Casquette and the Bulova Computron. So when I saw this similar watch with some genuinely funky features come up for auction, I had to have it. I kind of nerded out researching this piece, and honestly, you're probably going to love learning about it too, even if I'm questioning my life choices. This was a collaboration between Seiko and DJ Tetsuya TK Kimura. And yes, the drum loops were composed by Kimura himself, who was a J-pop star and a pioneer of Japanese electronic dance music. These were only produced for the Japanese market. It honestly has a very 80s look to it. As I mentioned before, kind of looks like a tape player. I could imagine that the yellow version of this would very much look like a Sony Walkman. I imagine that the yellow version of this would have been very popular. Like the Casquette and the Computron, the frequency has the display on the side here. So I'm going to put this on so everyone gets a sense of what it looks like on wrist. This strap is from BluShark. It was one of those mystery straps that they sent in. It's 22 millimeters. I believe they call this knit weave, and it's sort of a combo black and blue. Maybe you can see that there. Here's what this looks like from the side. So I'll get into the dimensions in a piece, but you can see from a practicality standpoint, you can see this would be tough to wear every day. So the thickness is where things get really interesting. And by interesting, I mean problematic. In the middle here is about 14.5 millimeters thick, but the lugs hang down in the front, and you can see that the total thickness, if you're measuring it from here to here, would be about 18.3 millimeters. It's almost like a building. Lug to lug was listed as 22, but it is actually 23. So you can kind of see just a little bit of extra play here. I think a 22 millimeter strap is about the best you can hope for, and hopefully you've got one of those bar assortment packs to help you get to a 23 millimeter width. I believe these came with a leather strap, and those leather straps probably look just as impractical as these do. All right, so visually, let's take a look at the condition of this. The large brown resin case has been hand cleaned, and it's showing its age. It's definitely faded a little bit, but in decent shape for almost 30-year-old watch. The original LCD panel is perfect, and then there's this red LCD display up here that looks like it's the top of a VCR. The original black pushers work very well depending on the functionality you pick. These black buttons help navigate each option. The steel panel up top hides a speaker. And yes, this watch has a speaker because apparently someone in 1998 thought that's what watches really needed. The case back is excellent. Just spin this and it opens the hatch to the battery. This watch has a lot of features: alarm, time, chrono, rhythm, metronome. We'll go through these and see just how practical these features are. I hate to spoil it for you, but they're not. I play a little bass guitar, but I can't imagine a scenario where I would use this watch as a metronome instead of, an app on my phone, or a real metronome, or literally anything else. The movement is the B010 Quartz. It's reliable, but let's be honest, the movement is the least weird thing about this watch. All right, let's see if I can figure out the time. So you can see and I'm sorry I'm doing this outside, you might hear some nature sounds, but I couldn't quite get the light right inside. So I'm gonna press this button, you'll start seeing the functionalities kind of switch, and I'll go through them again. Alarm, time, chrono, rhythm, beats per minute 1, beats per minute 2, and then the alarm back again. All right, by holding down this button, I was able to get the buttons to sync. Let me see if I can get, all right, there are the minutes. All right, so hopefully you can kind of see that. So it is 5:06 here. I'm gonna just push it up one, and then let me see if I can get this going. All right, so it's 5 p.m. And there we go, we set the time. I really do hope that you're able to kind of see all of these. All right, I'm gonna move to the next mode, the chrono mode. Here, that's pretty simple. You press the button. My apologies, trying to get this. Hopefully that's better. You can see that, and then you can stop it, move along, right? I'm gonna move to rhythm, and I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it really close. All right, can you hear that? All right, and so this is kind of the different options you have: 0, 1. These are the beats per minute. All right, so you can kind of. So this would be if you wanted a metronome. So you can change the beats per minute. I'm gonna go pretty aggressive here. And you can hear that kind of go a lot faster, right? Right, so that's the sound. And then I was able to activate the light mode. So instead of having the sounds for the metronome, you can have these lights. Gives you a visual to keep time when you're playing music. All right, there's an alarm. I'm not gonna go through that, but I will kind of bring it back to the time. All right, so I put this on before. I'm gonna put it on again just to give you a sense of the wearability. I did not bring a dress shirt. It's something like 90 degrees here in Connecticut today. But as I mentioned, at its thickest point, it's 18.3 millimeters here to here, 14.5 here. It's a giant rectangle. My wrists are about 7.25 to 7/3 inches. Now, when I think about the wearability of this watch, I had to think about this two different ways. The first is, how will this be for a very particular event? And then how will this work as a daily driver? So if I were going to a casual watch event like Wind Up New York, I could see myself wearing something like the Seiko Frequency, right? It's kind of a bunch of watch nerds. You only have to put up with it for a few hours. You run the risk of bumping it on doorknobs, door jams. It's bulky as all get out. And then I think about it as a daily driver. Could I slip this underneath a dress shirt? How comfortable would this be day in and day out? So this would absolutely not be a good daily watch. It's big, bulky, it's mostly 90-degree angles. I'm imagining my coworkers rolling their eyes at me. This looks like state-of-the-art tech from the 1980s that somehow made its way back in the movie Back to the Future. I can just imagine the frequency getting caught in my seatbelt, hitting doorknobs, getting stuck in jacket sleeves. It's not a daily watch, but it's funky, odd, weird, and I guess it could be cool in its own way. I'm glad I got to try it, but based on my wearing experience, I wish I had bought this, but at least I didn't make a more expensive mistake on a Girard-Perregaux Casquette or a Bulova Computron. Sometimes the coolest watches in theory are the most impractical watches in practice. So here's the lesson, folks, and don't make this mistake. Just because something is weird, just because something is rare, just because something might be historically interesting, doesn't mean you need to have it in your collection. Sometimes it belongs in a museum, sometimes it belongs in your drawer. But I wish I hadn't spent any money on this. I wish I could send it back. Please don't make the same mistake I did. Thanks for watching Confessions of a Watch Collector. Subscribe if you'd like to see more tales of mistakes made in my watch collecting journey. But thanks very much for stopping in and checking it out. And we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.